You're watching Life Report, pro-life talk, real-world answers. Life Report trains people to more effectively defend their pro-life beliefs while honestly examining the strengths and weaknesses of both sides. We're the show other pro-lifers may have warned you about. This is Life Report.
That is not how you should open a show.
Whatever. I can open the show however I want to.
Now we're going to talk about something that you all should be very interested in.
Like the fact that you've made our studio smell like burrito.
Yes, I did.
You spent the entire time before recording eating an entire Chipotle burrito, or half of one.
Okay. You brought me in right at dinner time, straight from work.
Right.
So I had no time to eat.
Right.
I was very hungry, and the only food that was around and available, I'm not complaining, was a Chipotle burrito.
Yeah, poor baby, only Chipotle.
Can I advertise for them? It's very good.
I understand why you ate the burrito. I don't understand why you ate the burrito in my studio on my table and made this entire place smell like burrito.
Because I thought we'd be podcasting any minute, and I didn't want to be late.
Okay.
Besides, you know you love it.
The last two episodes on bodily rights just went so well, and since Trent was here anyway, we decided to do a couple more episodes with Trent Horn from Justice for All. And
yeah.
To me, I just kind of figure, you know, Kyle's great, and Kyle will come back. Don't worry for all the Kyle fans. But for the next couple episodes, we have Trent, and Kyle's busy getting ready for the JFA exhibit. So Trent's just going to sit in as guest co-host today, and we are glad to have him. And I know it's not going to be the last time. So he'll be in, and we have an interesting topic today. This is something that feels like I always say we have a controversial thing to talk about. I don't know how controversial it'll be, but it's something that's been in the back of my head for like 6 months or so. I've been kind of thinking, how should we think about this? And so we're just going to talk about it, and hopefully no one will be offended, but we'll see. It almost becomes like every single episode. Who is Josh going to tick off this week? Anyway.
I think that's what you want.
I don't know if it's what I exactly... It's not like I go out trying to tick people off. It just kind of happens. But here's the question of the day. Should pro-lifers encourage censorship of pro-choice events, materials, etc.? And so why don't we just chat a little bit? I've got a couple of specific examples we can debate. Where are you guys at, generally speaking, on censorship? Pro, negative, and why?
No.
You're against censorship. Why are you against censorship?
I would say that...
And when you say censorship, and you mean what?
When I mean censorship, I mean using the force of law to prevent someone from freely expressing and disseminating their ideas. So, for example, I think it's fine for non-governmental entities to tell people, you know, this is, if you run a company, you say, hey, this isn't good for our newsletter. If you're an employee here, you can't put it out.
Right.
You know, that's the way it works.
Right.
But for government to step in and infringe upon people's rights to participate in the marketplace of ideas, it's just kind of a bad precedent. So, in general, I'd be against that.
Okay. Liz?
Yeah, for the most part, I can't really think of an instance where I would be in favor of some legal form of censorship. I'm of the opinion that people should censor themselves, because I obviously believe there is stuff that should not be out there. But the catch-22 is that I also hold beliefs that are very controversial, and I know that there's a reason that the Founding Fathers put forth those words about freedom of speech and not inhibiting it, because and I know we're going to get into this with the pro-choice, with the idea of censoring pro-choice people, but however you censor someone, that same criteria can censor you.
There's a lot of people that would love to censor the Justice for All exhibit. Isn't there?
There's a lot of people who've tried to censor the Justice for All exhibit.
How did that go down?
Tell me a few of your favorite stories of how that's gone down, and has anyone ever been successful, and what do they try to say?
Well, I will say there was a university in Texas that attempted to censor the Justice for All exhibit, and they paid a hefty lesson for that, and specifically monetarily, for infringing our civil rights and the civil rights of the students that wanted to bring us to campus. And in particular, one of my favorites, the University of Northern Colorado in Greeley. We brought the Justice for All exhibit, and we had administrators trying to tell us, they said we don't want these graphic images here inside of the student union. You can have them outside, but you can't have them inside the student union. It's too disruptive. But the week we had the exhibit there was Holocaust Memorial Week. And wouldn't you know, inside the union were pictures to remember the Holocaust,
Wow.
many that I felt were essentially graphic,
Right.
trying to impose a certain point of view about the Holocaust and its morality on me.
Right.
And it was just a bunch of shock tactics anyways. But notice that graphic pictures were allowed, just graphic pictures that the administration felt, that's the theme we promote here.
Right.
Your graphic pictures with your ideas, we're not going to allow them. And that's where the problem comes in. If you have a public space like a public university,
Right.
here's the inherent injustice. It's everybody pays taxes, so the university operates, so we all pay in,
Right.
but only those people whose views we like get the benefits.
Right.
So pro-lifer, if you could just pay for this, that'd be great, but you're not going to get to have free speech.
Right.
It's essentially a form of theft, and that's why restricting freedom of speech for anyone is wrong.
Right.
Yeah, I had a very similar experience when we brought a graphic display very similar to Justice for All to the junior college I was at the time. And the
College of Sequoias,
College of
right?
Sequoias in
Yeah,
Visalia.
this was quite interesting.
And the administration came out and was talking to the director of the event over and over, kept trying to come up with reasons why our exhibit couldn't be there and why it was disruptive and whatever it was. And Michael kept saying, why exactly? Like, what about this? And bringing up all these other examples, because if they admitted to content-based discrimination against our exhibit, then they knew that they were breaking the law.
Right.
And so, you can't.
So they and they went back and forth, and then the faculty was basically, we're going to look into this, and they went back into the office,
Right.
and we stayed out there. This was the Genocide Awareness Project. It's the third year in a row you guys had done it.
it'd been done
It was
before.
different faculty or something like that. It's been a
There was
change
a new college president and several new administrators.
that's what I thought. And so and they hadn't been there last year, and so they were doing this whole thing, and it was up until like 3 p.m.
Oh, they went at it for hours
before we got an answer. But in the meantime, it was brilliant because there we are in front of Gap as students are walking by, and this was our opening line. How do you feel about free speech? And everyone's like, I'm for it.
Yeah.
And they're like, do you know the faculty is trying to shut us down? Oh my gosh, that's terrible. Yeah, I'm pro-choice, and this should be allowed. Yeah. And so we had it basically backfired on the faculty.
Oh yeah, we actually got local newspaper coverage that wouldn't have come out because it was the third year we'd done it. They didn't even come out the second year to even take a piece, but now it was a free speech issue, and there was an article in the paper criticizing the college administration. So
Josh, you're saying though there are pro-life advocates that want to act in a similar way to censor pro-choice advocates.
Yeah, I'll give you one example. I was going back and forth with a lady on Facebook who was trying to invite me into her. I think she created a special Facebook group for this, and they were out to ban another Facebook group who was making apparently dead baby jokes. And so I
hate dead baby jokes, for the record.
Not even.
They're terrible. There's no redeeming quality about them whatsoever.
I don't know if I've even ever heard a dead baby joke, but except maybe on the free speech board at Justice for All. I've seen a few there.
You can't make up what you'll find at a free speech board at a Justice for All exhibit.
It's a whole experience.
We couldn't make it up, but we tried. But we'll find just pretty obscene stuff at the JFA exhibit. Similar. I mean, I call it. Some people who are pro-choice respond to abortion and the JFA exhibit with what I consider macabre humor.
Right.
It's a way to distance themselves from the ugly reality they see by using a kind of existential absurdism. Just, well, if it's all absurd, I don't have to worry about it.
Right.
So it just look at all these fetuses, let's just eat them, for example. And for
Right.
me, I see it's a way to deal with the ugly reality.
Yeah.
But so they wanted to ban the group.
Yeah, and I understand Facebook is different. Facebook is a private, entity. They can ban and censor whatever they want, and we're not talking about actual free speech law at this point. But in my mind, I'm like, in general, Facebook doesn't ban groups based on content, and I kind of like that. I think that's how I want it to stay. I don't want them to start, we have the ability to delete groups that we don't like, let's take a look. Because I'm thinking pro-life groups might be towards the top of that list. And I explained that to her, and she was like, no, we need to ban this group. This is because it's very offensive what they're doing. And I think she said, like, my husband's a cop, or he was a cop, or an investigator, or something like that. And we've seen what horrible things that can happen to children. I think these kind of jokes are going to lead people to go and kill more babies, like infanticide. And I was just like, anyone that will kill a baby, you know, okay, they might think those jokes are more funny than everyone else. I don't think those jokes in itself is going to lead to someone going and find a kid to kill. So, yeah.
But well, Josh, we could assume for the sake of the argument also, like, let's say, yes, these jokes, as a result of these, or what I would think the pro-lifers would more want to censor would be arguments defending the pro-choice position, or pages talking about illegal abortion, things that would encourage people to be pro-choice.
Right.
But I think that the argument can go, there's a distinction between intending versus foreseeing an action. So, for example, speech is neither intrinsically good nor evil. It's neutral. Abortion, it's an intrinsic evil.
Right.
It should be opposed. But we can allow freedom of speech foreseeing it could be abused, but not necessarily intending it, knowing if we take away freedom of speech that the consequences will be much more severe.
Right.
And that's why we have to allow these things like pro-choice groups or things that might encourage even people to have abortions, which, you know, that costs human lives, but that happens all the time. For example, it's a well-cited fact that when societies spend more on education, the rates of suicide go up. You can look at this across the board sociologically.
I am telling my professors.
Or I'll take another example. When societies build more highways, more people obviously die from automobile accidents. Nobody intends those things to happen. We merely foresee it. And we're doing a neutral or good thing, so that's just kind of an unintended price we pay. And allowing pro-choice people to have freedom, that's a good thing because we want to have that freedom as well.
Yeah.
I can hear several of my Facebook friends right now thinking, ooh, Trent's using the evil pragmatism to make his argument. He's thinking pragmatically and not, I mean, this is
actually, I would say that I'm arguing as a purist. I'm arguing from absolute principles.
Okay.
That if a freedom is not intrinsically evil, or if an act isn't intrinsically evil, people should be able to engage in it within reasonable limit.
Right.
For example, the U.S. Supreme Court has usually affirmed that people have a freedom of speech with a certain limit. For example, you can't falsely shout fire in a crowded building.
Exactly.
Something that'll cause an imminent danger.
Right.
But if you're just sharing your ideas and they're not inciting an imminent danger, then that's a standard that I would run from. But also from a pragmatic end, Josh, I think that honestly it helps the pro-life movement more to let pro-choice people disseminate their views freely. It actually helps our side more.
And that's exactly what I would say, is because you have to look very closely at why. What's the reason you are giving that justifies banning this group?
They're offensive.
Okay, what is offensive about them? Is it their actual language use? Because Facebook it does control, and you can flag for certain types of language and stuff. That's something that they may have found acceptable. But if what's offensive about them is that they are preaching just a message, a worldview that's different than your own, even if it's not a good worldview. I mean, the Ku Klux Klan, they are preaching a worldview that almost no one agrees with anymore, you know, in educated circles. But if you ban them because they believe this, then when there's enough hatred for enough people who disagree with Christianity or pro-life views, then we become the object by the same criteria that we created.
I'll give you a more controversial one, the North American Man-Boy Love Association. I think they should have the right to meet. They should have the right to advertise their meetings. They just don't have the right to do things illegal, like have sex with boys. Right? But they have the right to meet, just like we should have the right to meet.
I think the principle you're looking at, Josh, is that people should have a right, and I say this on campus frequently, I think people have the right to believe whatever you want. A belief never hurt anyone. But you don't always have the right to act on your beliefs. And so that's where we draw the line, essentially, in a free society. And it would be the same if we made abortion illegal again. So you have the freedom to lobby and make abortion legal once more. You know, if you want to do that, go right ahead. But you can't go out and do abortions because now your belief has become an action that hurts people.